Hello, and welcome back to Scarworld Season 2. My name is Okada, and in this episode we're starting out with a super fast time lapse because we don't want to focus on farms in this episode. What we want to work on is enhancing the shop and the clock on the shop, because so far all it's done is gong at noon, and I want to add some fireworks to it. But first, in order to do that, we need to have a lot of sugarcane for paper, we're going to need dye, and other little components there to get that going. So we're going to wrap up this time lapse real fast, and we're going to get into the episode so that we can focus on the stuff we want to get done. So in order to accomplish what I'm trying to get done for this episode, I need lots of dye. And initially I was going to make one of those shifting floor flower farms. Gotta say that slowly. But then I realized that I don't need any of those colors. Basically for most of the flowers, I don't need them. Because, I get red from the poppy farm over there, the silo, and white comes from the bone meal, and I get blue from my villagers, and that's most of the colors I need. I really, aside from green and of course yellow, which is simple to get from sunflowers, I don't need a shifting floor farm, and so I kind of abandoned that idea. What I do need though is green, and I need lots of green. In fact, aside from it being my favorite color, the stuff that I want to use is going to use a lot of green, and I've been kind of harvesting cactus manually, because at first I didn't really need it for large scale, but now I'm going to. So I was thinking simple cactus farm, and I'm not going to spend any time on camera building one, but I was thinking I'll build it like right here, because I kind of wanted something for the space anyway, and I'm not going to do one of those big mega cactus farms. I think maybe just a couple of layers, and maybe sink it into the ground a little bit like I did the creeper farm, except the creeper farm goes way deep. But just have a little bit of it popping up so we have a little bit of a structure here, probably just a glass dome over it, because I don't want to obscure the view of the smelter. So I'm gonna start kind of finding where I can sink this. If you're a homeowner, you might be familiar with the idea that before you dig, you gotta check for water lines. And this swirly here. I've got water lines all over the place. See, there's one already, and so I need to figure out where they actually run before I can do this. So I'm going to jump out here and maybe quick time lapse it. I don't know. This episode is not supposed to be about farms, and so I don't want to dwell on it. But I need the green dye, and I need it in large quantities for what I'm going to do. So let's throw something together real quick. It's going to be basic. It's not going to be a complex design, and it shouldn't take any time. That came out a lot better than I thought. I mean, I don't know what I expected, but I did kind of want it to be a little bit shorter. But now that it's built, I like it. It's like it's in its own little display case. So the the white glass worked out pretty well with it, and I went ahead and set up. Well, obviously I set up a little entryway here. And I set up an overflow into the composter so that it goes into bone meal. Also, since I completed this, I've done a fair amount of AFK because I need a bunch of green dye. And I've been a little bit busy because amongst, I need other dyes as well. And I did a little bit of trading with the villagers to get me some blue dye. And I farmed up some black dye as well. So there's been a little bit of time in here. This thing's worked out pretty well, as you can see. I mean, there's a fair amount of AFK in there because I also need more gunpowder, and there's other things I need for making fireworks. Not just just the dye, but we need shapes as well. So I'm going to go on a hunt for heads because you can make some really cool the creeper face fireworks. But I also need feathers. And I took down my chicken coop ages ago. And so I threw together a very rudimentary thing here, which I'm just finishing up. It's kind of a horror show for chickens. And this wall kind of become my temporary farm wall because this is where I grow my bees, which doesn't really see much activity. This is where I've stored my sheep, and Larry's still stuck down in here. But I figured I'll throw this in here because what I need is feathers. But I got eggs for days, so I figured what, we'll just do it the hard way and create a chamber of egg layers up here. And, they'll lay eggs, and eventually they'll all come down here. And then I can come in here and just murder, and get a bunch of feathers that way. So, feathers are another component that you can put into making fireworks. Alright, so here we are. We're inside the Clockwork Beast. That is my clock tower. And I've started to lay out some of what I'm going to do here. And I while it's kind of open, I want to show you and explain what's going on and what the general goal is here. So, right, our ultimate goal, is to fire off fireworks when the clock tower goes off. And I debated kind of day and night and afternoon. I still might consider setting up something to work and fire at night, but for now I'm going to go with when the noon clock goes off, we have a chance of fireworks going off. And what I've done is I've drawn a redstone torch tower from the bell all the way at the bottom. And so every time that fires, it'll send a signal all the way up here, which we can then detect and send along. But what will happen is a signal will come through, and again, there's going to be 12 gongs on the clock every day, and I don't want to fire off 12 rockets every time. It's going to get expensive, and I also don't want it to be spammy, and I don't want it to be the same rocket all the time. I want variety. Some rockets are going to be more expensive than others to make. And, I want it to be a variety, We're not always going to have people who see the rockets. People are going to be off in the distance. They might hear it and not see it. So we're going to have good rockets mixed in with some mediocre rockets and whatnot. But what we need is a randomizer on which rockets fire and whether or not rockets fire at all. And that's what this is what this plans on being. Now, of course, we don't have a whole lot of space to work in. If you saw the episode when I built this clock tower, you know how claustrophobic this thing is. I mean, you can look down there and just see how much I had to stack all the different layers of redstone just to get 4 lights on the front of the building to rotate. So we are kind of out of space, and this is it's going to be the same scenario of stacking redstone as opposed to laying it out. And I think maybe I can fit this in. I'm hoping. It's looking promising. I threw some things down just to get a kind of idea, and I think it's going to work out. So I want to explain what's going on here. So first of all, randomization within Minecraft. So in case you're not aware on how to have a random result in Minecraft, you do that with a dropper. So a dropper, whenever it gets powered, will drop an object from a random slot that has an item in it. And we can use that to our advantage. All right, we have 3 different weights in Minecraft when it comes to items. We have items that stack to 64, that stack to 16, and then unstackables. And those have different weights when it comes to redstone and the redstone comparators. And that's very useful to us. So what will happen is when we trigger this, so you saw the light went on, an object pops into the hopper and then falls back into the dropper immediately. But during that brief moment, we can pull a signal off of it. Now, the way this is useful to us is, since there are different weights in the objects, we can determine which object came over by restricting the weight we're looking for. So in this case, I have another comparator pointing to the side of it that is the weight of a minecart. And so the weight of a minecart in a hopper, a thing with 5 slots, is going to be the same as the weight of another unstackable and another hopper. And that's all we need to overcome the block in the comparator. So this comparator is saying it can only power through if it matches or exceeds the weight of the signal coming into the side of it. Okay, so going down the chain, what we're doing is we're determining whether or not we want to fire a rocket. And if the signal goes through, it goes to another dropper, and this dropper will be full of rockets. And so if it gets a signal, because we get a yes off of the randomization, it will fire a firework rocket into a hopper, and there's going to be a hopper chain going its way and up into a dispenser that will fire the rocket. And this allows us to have a wide variety of the fireworks that we're going to fire, because next to it we have another randomization and another dropper. And I want to do at least 4 of these. So what I'm going to need to do is stack them and hopefully be able to pull this off where we don't have any power bleed through or something above receives power below. But I think we can get away with it by doing this and then having another set. I'm going to continue putting this together, and I'm going to bring you guys back, and hopefully we can get to do a little bit of testing and see a successful run of the firework display. All right, completely untested. I know it's getting close to noon on the server. I put 1 firework in each of the droppers. It's 1 in 9 chance, so some of them might not fire off. Oh, yeah, feathers. But I wanted to run out here real quick. I just threw 1 firework, the same firework in all 4 of them, just because I want to see if 4 fireworks go off, then I know all 4 dispensers or all 4 droppers are working, and then I'm good to start stocking up on regular ones. If I don't see 4 fireworks, I'll go in there and see which one is left in, and then just do a manual test of the triggering mechanism. All right, here we go. On any gong, we could have a or 1 or more fireworks. Or we could have 0 if the whole thing doesn't work. Hey! 2, alright. 2 more working. 3. Wow, all 4 of them already. That's, okay, that's better odds than I expected. That means all 4 of them beat the 1 in 9. Except that guy right there beat the 1 and 9 on the bottom. All right. Well, so let me explain. You can see we ran out of space. It really was compact, but I think I accomplished it all. So the signal comes up, goes over, and splits between high and low. And then each one of them hits a 1 and 9. So the only thing in here that should be able to trigger it is the minecart. All of these stack to 64. And same goes for up here. Make sure I didn't mess anything up, so I'm going to double check these. Okay, well, I didn't want a whole stack of ingots in there, but that didn't affect it. And yeah, okay, so that should be fine. And yeah, minecart here. Minecart there, so that is good. And I have it set up to where I have 2 different inputs per dropper. I kind of wanted to do 3, but I don't have the space. It just doesn't work out. They dispense or they drop into here. And this is going to let me have 2 different types of fireworks in each dropper for a little bit more variety. And I know, you might be thinking, well, you could just load up one barrel multiple types. But no, you can't, because the hopper would fill up with just one type, and eventually that's all it would feed. So I'll manually put 2 different types in here so they hold spots. And then I'll put 2 different types in each. And that'll carry them over for a good while. But then they come around through the hopper chain into this dropper. We detect that there is something in the dropper. Doesn't matter how many. And we go through a very long delay. And the reason for this is that I don't want it to ripple fire the fireworks. I want them to be spaced out. And this 6 max length repeaters kind of came out to a good pacing when I was testing, which is pretty good because that was more or less the most I could fit in here. And the reason I say that is because I had to navigate around the daylight detectors. I can't block them, and there's one over there. So I really had no room. This is it. This seems to be working. So now I just need to craft up a whole bunch of firework rockets and load it up. I'm going to craft up some, clean up all these shulkers, make sure that I didn't make an area not spawn proof, like these right here. Because last thing I need is a creeper to spawn in here, and of course it'd be the one time I'd come in here to put rockets in, and boom, that's right there is that's a carpet, and boy would I be miserable. So I'm gonna stock up, and then we'll come back and we'll see a proper launching of rockets and get to see some of the beauty that we set out to do. While I was putting together the rockets for the initial firework setup, I thought, maybe I should show you guys kind of what I'm doing, because I know that I didn't really explore what can be done with fireworks prior to doing this project, and I was surprised by just how much you could do with them. And when I've talked to some other people, they've also been surprised. So, I thought, hey, real quick, while I'm making these, I'll record a couple of them just to give you an idea. This is going to be one of my more simple ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to construct a couple of different fireworks that are going to be the same shape. So I'm going to do a blue. So gunpowder with a dye gives you a small ball with that color. Now you can stack colors, yellow and blue. I'm not going to for this one. You could put several different colors in there. But I am going to change its shape with a feather into a burst. And it's just going to be just a simple blue burst. But then I'm going to have that blue burst fade to orange. So it'll be blue at first, and then it'll shift to orange. And then likewise, I'm going to do a yellow burst. So it's going to be blue. There's going to be 2 bursts that go off simultaneously. Now I could have made 1 burst go blue and yellow together. But by putting 2 stars in there, I'm getting twice as many particles. It's still going to be the blue and the yellow. It's a little more expensive, but it looks nicer. And I'm going to fade that to green. So we're going to have blue and yellow, and then we're going to end up with green and orange. And then paper and gunpowder, and we have rockets. Now you can put multiple gunpowder in there to get higher flight. But since this is already starting on top of a high place, I found that I really don't need to have that high duration. So let's take a look at one here. So that's one of them, and that's just the burst pattern. Let's I'm going to do the big awesome one here. I'll show you that one. So first we're going to start with a quart gunpowder, gray dye, which would give us a gray small ball. We're going to add fire charge to it, which turns it into a large ball. And then we're going to add glowstone dust to it to give it twinkle. Simple enough, right? Then we're going to fade it to light gray, so it'll start darker and then it'll get lighter and it'll twinkle out. And it's a large ball, so it's going to be around the central effect. So we're going to, for the central effect, gunpowder. We're using heads. So this will give us the creeper-shaped green. Green's kind of traditional, right, for a creeper, but a creeper isn't just green. He's also lime. He's also black. So we'll get all 3 colors in the shape. Make sure we didn't forget anything. I don't want it to twinkle out because I want the twinkle. The point to the outer ball twinkling, aside from the effect, is that it also allows it to kind of fade away, leaving the inner effect. And we can do more than 2 balls, but for this is what we want. And there it is. A creeper-shaped green, lime, and black with a large outer ball that is gray and fades to light gray. That's expensive, man. That's a stack of heads. Let's fire one up here. That's so cool. Yeah, that's good. I like it. Let's do one more. Alright, so I have tweaked the randomization so that we should get a lot more fireworks on this first run. And a couple of Scarians have come to watch the show, and hopefully this will actually work. So here we go. Hopefully we get one of the good ones. I mean, all those are good. There it is! We're getting a lot of them because I really tweaked the settings. In fact, I'll go through my whole supply in one shot. Alright, it worked. This is beautiful. So, as you can see, we put a good variety in, and I need to go set the settings back to normal. So, thanks again for coming out. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys sticking with to the end. I know that we did a lot of farms at the beginning. We tried to do that really, really fast because I didn't want it to be a farm-related episode. And definitely come back for next episode. I've got a really cool idea. It's going to be a new shop. And I've already acquired the land. In fact, back there behind that little tree, there's a little axe on the ground there. And a tree, and then you can see some scaffolding. That building I've taken ownership of. I'm going to tear it down. I'm going to build a new shop. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be funny. So definitely come back, check it out. I'm excited to build it. Can't wait to see what it's going to look like when we're done. And thanks again for coming out. And I'll catch you guys next episode.